that of all the things that was being thrown at him, the being focused on the matter at hand, the facts at hand of what was going on. He didn't let all those other things kind of distract you. You got to watch out for, you know, a lot of times people get distracted and not able to get the task done. And that's one thing I like about this gentleman I'm about to introduce to you. His name is Christopher K. Ellie. He's a respected and attorney here, a state attorney here in Stockton. And I would like to introduce to you Christopher K. Ellie. I'm twisted today. It's like cake that's a little moist. Got my tongue stuck in the roof of my mouth here. And he's going to go ahead and explain to you a little bit about estate planning and how to, well, I'll let him explain it. He's better at this than me. All right. Here you go.
And Derek, thank you for inviting me today. It's been wonderful, not just the food. The food was great, but also getting to know what you people do. It's wonderful what you do, and you can really feel the spirit that exists in this center. And so I'm glad to learn about that. I'm here today to talk about the legal consequences of death and incompetence. Lawyers deal with that all the time, which explains why people don't really like to talk to lawyers, because that's kind of a depressing subject, isn't it? People don't just drop by and say, hey, Chris, can we talk about death? But you have to think about it. You have to think about it, because when one's loved one passes away, you know, it does make us think about our own mortality, and it makes us think about our relationship with our Creator, and makes us more spiritual in some ways, and that's a good thing. But the possibility of inheriting, of getting money for free, brings out the worst in me. I've seen it, Derek has seen it. And if you don't have, people are tempted, if it's not organized, people are tempted to get into a mad scramble for those things that are out there. So that the best thing that we can do for our loved ones is not to lead them into temptation, but instead have some sort of a plan by which they know that somebody's in charge and who's going to get what. And then if you tell people, this is what I want you to do, they will follow it. But if you don't tell them, it can get ugly. And it's not hard to do, it really isn't, but it has to be done right. I had a client that came to me, she came to me too late. Because she had some money, and somebody had told her, you put it in joint tenancy. Because if you put it in joint tenancy, when you die, it goes to your kids. So she took her money and she put it in 3 different accounts, joint tenancy accounts, with her 3. You're looking at me like she's crazy, and you're right, she was crazy, because it goes to your kids when you die, but it also goes to them right now. That was the problem. Nobody told her that putting it in joint tenancy allowed those kids to get that money right then. So when we tracked the son down, he was up in, I think it was in Seattle. He had gone through the money, he had spent it on drugs and alcohol, and he, while in a drunken stupor, had stopped in front of a truck, and boom. So she was then broke and heartbroken, and also feeling guilty because she had mishandled her money. It did not have to be that way. It could have been a little bit different. If she had marked along a different box a little bit differently, it would have been better. It's not that hard to do, but it's got to be done right. So let's talk about that. Now, one of the things we want to dispel right away is if you don't have a will, it doesn't mean that your money goes to the state. Arnold doesn't get it, so don't worry about that, okay? If you die without a will, it's probably going to go to your spouse. Now, if it's something that you guys accumulated during your marriage, it's going to go to your spouse even without a will. And if you don't have a spouse, it's going to go to your kids. And if you don't have any kids, it's going to go to your parents. We'll find somebody before it goes to the state. So don't worry about that. And also, a lot of the stuff that we have these days can be in an account which goes to somebody on death. It's like a pay on death account. Like if you have an IRA account. It says where your money goes when you die. Or if you have 401k or deferred comp from work, or if you got those kind of things. Remember, you got that form and the type is real small and you have to look at it and you can see it.